Mayor Pro Tem DeVito?
I guess my first comment, and I would normally have left that till last, is that I don't think I'm ready to adopt this evening. I think that there's more meetings that are required. With the audience who was here and the feelings that are expressed, you probably would have 20 more meetings, and I don't think it should still come to consensus. But I think it is important, the fact that you let people know that we are concerned, we want to do what's right, we're listening to their concerns that are valid. It's never happened to me before, but when I picked this up and I read page 2.7, to the development capacity, and I thought right away, I moved from community, I lived in Maywood for just a brief period of time, which is the most dense city in California. I think they named one of their elementary schools after a general from Mexico. They are flying the Mexican flag, I think, from their flagpole. And Bell, first apartment I had, lived there, and my Mary lived in Bell Gardens. And looking at that, I said, doggone it, we're developing another Maywood with the density, etc. And I had to close this, and I came back to it yesterday and today and looked at it from another point of view, and I really appreciated, I said it before, Mr. Witters, I really appreciated your comments. I've heard you sporadically a number of times talk about the RANA numbers and what we have, what are required to do, what we don't have to do, and we're not building units in, 10 years ago, 15 and 20 years ago when you were talking about that, and I really appreciated the way you said that. And in essence, we could, from what you said, just adopt this and move on, but I think we need to listen to people. The idea of growth in California is like, I guess, I never owned a boat, but I've had people who own boats saying owning a boat is like having a hole in the water through which you poured all your money in it. And this is the way housing in the state of California. I don't care how many houses we build in Ojai. There will be people who will be coming across our borders and from someplace, and they'll fill up those houses. And I don't think it's Ojai's responsibility to do that, nor is it our responsibility to fill up the houses for the school district so that they have more kids. That would just happen, that will happen naturally. I don't want to go to the bank unit so that someone can come along and say, hey, there are a bunch in there, I would like to use them. I want to stick to our growth management plan. And Mr. Olson, I like what you said about the 15%. I went to a third, 33 and a third percent. And I'd support you on the 50%. For them to build 15% is just really inadequate. And I think we have to ask ourselves, what are the unintended consequences of whatever we do? What are they? And Ms. Figg, you mentioned there's one place in there where you said something about sustainability and smart growth. And you talk about a need to go back. We said not too long ago, we said we really need to tweak that. And someone made reference to it, these units on Ventura and Matilaha, that they're not occupied. There are two over on Los Arboles, and I mentioned this before, that have never been used for live work. And they're looking at a couple that Mr. Smigle's wanting to do live work. Who wants to spend $1 million on a live work situation and live in 900 square feet at the top and work below? They're not going to do it. They'll rent it out. Those are just some comments that I have. But it's important that we provide housing for those that need it. It really is important that we do that. And for seniors and for handicapped, school teachers, firemen, people in that income level. If we're going to do it, we need to do it right. And it doesn't bother me to slow down and make sure we do it right. I don't want to keep going back to the unintended consequences. We need to look at that. A couple questions I guess I have of you, Mr. Fagan. You can answer them once you get all the questions. Is what happens when the developer shows up and he has an acre or 2 acres and he wants to build 40 units on the 2 acres? What happens when that occurs? And someone made a good point. Now, the person who's in charge of ACD is the state of California, spent 13 or 14 years as a planner for the city of Ventura, so she's real familiar with Ojai. But maybe other people up there aren't. And should we really state some things about Ojai, that we really are a community that's isolated geographically? We have a state highway, a 2-lane state highway that goes through, and they're all 2-lane, that we do have some problems with other kinds of things. I guess the other question that I have, and I'll finish with this, because we've talked about water and traffic. Don't say, for example, we adopt what you have right here this evening. When someone wants to come in and build whatever they want to build, and at that particular time, we look at the water usage, we look at the other kind of the traffic, etc., and we make them do what they are required to do to mitigate if there's a problem there. Maybe you can answer that question also. But thank you for what you have put together. I think another meeting or two, it'll come together in a clearer fashion. But thanks so much.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.